Mhm. Education system and my history with it. I'm working on varying my voice so this vlog is more interesting and so I don't find myself so dull. Let's start. When I started out in school as a small child, I held no, I didn't distinguish going to school with every other activity. At that time, eating, sleeping, watching TV, and going to school was just one big happening. I I would know the distinction, yet when I perceived it in my mind, I wouldn't I didn't yet impose ideas of good and bad, inferior and superior on these things yet. It was only until I changed schools and around grade 3 that I started developing the inferiority superiority construct and started getting very depressed because it, I allowed and accepted myself to be instilled with the idea that high grades were something, grades were associated with my self-worth, and eventually popularity was also associated with my self-worth, such that if I wasn't popular, my self-esteem would be very low, and regarding grades, if I had low grades, my self-esteem would be very low. But in this case, my grades were average, and at the time, I didn't know what I could do, or or maybe I was procrastinating too much. That no matter what I think I did, my grades would be the same, and I would get really depressed over that because I would be trying and then not much improvement, or sometimes even I I what's the word? I I like fell back on my grades. My grades worsened. Um, and then when I moved to Hong Kong to continue my education, that was when I encountered the love construct. And when I first encountered it, it was intensely fascinating because I would look. It was my first day of school, and I just sat down, and then I looked at this girl, and then suddenly these feelings of love exploded within me, and I was intensely curious. What's this feeling? And then all of these questions popped up in my head, and eventually I associated that feeling of love with that girl, thinking, oh, that girl is transferring love to me, and I am loving her because of it. And it's really funny to think of it now with my newfound realizations of what's actually happening. I mean, like Bernard said, um, you don't see lightning flashes being transferred from person to person. It's it's ridiculous. Uh, Now, I'll talk about popularity because when I arrived in Hong Kong from Canada, popularity grew up to be a really big thing in my life so far. And I would always trick myself for some reason. I would trick myself saying, I don't really care about what other people say, yet I would always think about and imagine what other people might be saying about me.